of a Pullman High School graduate finally gets some closure.
And COVID is back on the rise in Pullman. Murrow News 8 starts now.
Public Broadcasting Studios on the campus of Washington State University. This is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Cameron Limes.
And I'm Humayun. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
The parents of Lauren McCluskey, a University of Utah track athlete who was murdered by her ex-boyfriend on campus 2 years ago, reached a $13.5 million settlement on Thursday with the university. Lauren's parents, Jill and Matt McCluskey, filed a $56 million lawsuit last year. The university will pay the family $10.5 million and donate $3 million to the McCluskey Foundation. The university is also renamed its Violence Prevention Center in Lauren McCluskey's honor.
Was reported in Whitman County on Thursday. Whitman County Public Health reports that a female over 80 years old died from coronavirus. Now there have been 10 coronavirus deaths in Whitman County since the start of the pandemic. On Thursday, 24 new coronavirus cases were confirmed in Whitman County. Most of the new patients are in the age groups 39 and younger, 3 and over 80. The positivity rate for COVID-19 cases increased by 10% in Whitman County. 14 new cases of coronavirus were confirmed in Latah County on October 22nd. This brings the total number of coronavirus cases in Latah County to 835 since the pandemic began. 468 people previously diagnosed with coronavirus have fully recovered to deaths. No deaths were reported in Latah County so far.
With the incoming winter weather, WSU Transportation is making changes onto how campus parking. Murrow News 8 reporter Andrew Bartline is live with us on campus. Andrew, talk to us about the upcoming changes before this winter weather hits.
Thanks, Cameron. So I'm here at one of 5 gravel lots here on Washington State's campus. All 5 are going to be closed entirely as the snow comes in. We can see from this sign, making it real explicit, the university does not want to maintain this gravel. But look behind me here, we can see the Ellison Floyd Multicultural Center. Now their parking lot is going to remain open, but it's not maintained. This gravel lot is a green lot, much like the one across the street here. Now this lot is paved, so they're going to leave this open, but the university budget cuts. They say there's a lack of demand with students on this campus as well. Not a whole lot of people need this parking. They can't afford to maintain this parking. So when that snow comes in, they're not going to be plowing it. Moreover, students tell me they're not too upset about it. They're not really driving to campus, so it's not going to affect them a whole lot. Let's run through it one by one at the different codes and how they're being affected. Green and yellow, green being the most popular, they're going to have 6 lots that are going to be unmaintained. The rest of them will be plowed, will be cleaned up, so it's going to be good for you there. Red, they're going to have 5 that are unmaintained. Crimson, 4. Gray and blue will have 2, and that Floyd Center I just referenced a moment ago, that too is going to be unmaintained. So my advice, get a green pass or a crimson pass. Why? Most of the lots that are unmaintained will be green. Those are all over campus, so that's going to be good for you. And that crimson pass, there's 2 in apartment land that they're going to keep cleaned up and plowed, and that big one right by the President's Mansion across the street from the Delta Tau Delta fraternity, that as well is going to be maintained right there on College Hill. It's going to be great for undergraduates. If you want more specifics about this, you're going to have to go on WSU's transportation website, so they'll help you out there. Nonetheless, back to you in the studio, Andrew Bartline, Murrow News 8.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. The annual Pullman Child Welfare Coats for Kids drive is underway. The newer gently used coats are being collected until December 15th. Coats can be donated in Pullman Dismores, Washington Trust Bank, Columbia Bank, Walmart, 4-Star Supply, Pullman Building Supply, and Umpqua Bank. The coats are distributed on Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Pullman Child Welfare Food Bank at 108 Northwest Stadium Way. An Alpine Animal Hospital in Pullman is hosting a low-cost vaccination and health exam clinic for your dog or cat, in recognition of World Rabies Day. Appointments are necessary to attend the event. To schedule, you can visit alpineanimalhospital.com.
Last night's debate between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden showcased the likely winner of the 2020 presidential election. But what if voters don't like either candidate? Alex Biviano has your story.
The winner of the 2020 presidential election will either be former Vice President Joe Biden of the Democratic Party or current President Donald Trump of the Republican Party. However, they will not receive 100% of the votes. Third-party candidates such as Libertarian Joe Jorgensen and Hy Hawkins of the Green Party join others as alternatives to voting for the nominee of either major party. These candidates do not really stand a chance of winning the election, but often pride themselves in giving voters the ability to choose someone besides the so-called lesser of two evils. Jordan Goggin, a senior strategic communication pre-law major, said that he wishes there was a viable third party in this country.
Yeah, I don't think we have good candidates personally. I think it's more about choosing the best of two evils, which is kind of rough, but that's where we're at.
While choosing between two candidates you do not like is not a fun experience, voting third party is effectively like throwing a vote in the trash. However, the presidency is not where voting stops. Third parties can be established at the grassroots level to be viable options in the future. The two-party system is uncommon across the rest of the world. In order to establish a viable third party in the United States, parties like the Green Party and Libertarian Party must organize and gain representation and respect at the ground level before campaigning for the highest office. For Murrow News 8, I'm Alex Biviano.
Ladakh County Sheriff's Office participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day this weekend. Deputies will be collecting unwanted and expired prescriptions for proper disposal from 10 to 2 p.m. on Saturday. They will be at Harvest Foods in Portlatch, the Genesee Food Center, and the Troll Lanes Club. There is also a prescription drug drop box at the Ladakh County Courthouse in Moscow, which is available on weekdays from 8 to 5.
President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden have wrapped up their second and final debate of the 2020 campaign. The debate covered the coronavirus and the federal government's response, national security, the election in China, American families, poverty and federal relief, immigration and race in America, and of course, climate change. Now, do presidential debates matter for voters to decide? Murrow News 8 reporter Humayun Kurum has a story.
Puzzling, arrogant, unhinged, bully, classic Trump. For Democratic nominee Joe Biden, politician, predictable, leader, rehearsed, nice guy, compassionate, coherent, evasive. Those were some of the words a focus group of undecided swing voters used to describe both candidates' performance at a presidential debate. After a month of political conventions, fresh controversies, more protests, and additional deaths from the coronavirus, the 2020 presidential race remains where it has been for months. Only just a few days left before the election day, most voters have decided who they will be voting for. Only 6% of voters in a recent NBC News poll said they're still undecided. Now, that small portion of voters are the target audience for presidential and vice presidential debates. A combined percentage of voters say the presidential debates are not important or are just somewhat important in deciding their vote in the presidential contest.
At least the first debate was even a debate at all. And then that being said, I feel like they can say whatever they want, but like their actions show different, and so like I've known who I've been gonna vote for.
From what I saw, it was just terrible. There was it was just battle of who had better ethics at this point. Both parties were doing a terrible job.
Just as presidential debates don't matter in voting, people say that voting by mail or in person doesn't matter to them. Every American citizen has a responsibility to vote and let their voice be heard. Because it's a presidential election year in the middle of a pandemic, the ability to vote safely is more important than ever. In Pullman, Washington, Humayun Kurum, Murrow News 8.
When we return, a Hall of Fame basketball player opens his second hospital.
Find out where when we return. Murrow News 8 will be right back.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Days, months, Hey, I'm Jim from across the street.
Years.
I'd like to give you this.
A lifetime. Can rush by without realizing what we're missing. We lose some of the best moments, some that may never repeat,
Come on.
or detach from people around us. Our loved ones grow used to this pattern, but it doesn't have to be that way. We have a choice to take action. It's never too late to live a full life again. Hear how many of us Vietnam veterans have managed our mental health and reconnected with our families. Visit maketheconnection.net to find out more.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
There's a second medical clinic founded by the six-time NBA champion Michael Jordan and Charlotte Hornets, that was open. The two health clinics are providing care to communities in Charlotte with little or no health care. These two clinics have been open 3 years after Jordan committed $7 million to the Novit Health.
A new bill is currently being voted on which would require all schools to have some form of sex education. Cameron Limes has the story.
Sex ed, an interesting and necessary topic. But this course also comes with a lot of questions, such as where and when is the right time to teach students about this part of human nature. A new bill, which could be passed in Whitman County, would allow students to learn sex ed in elementary school, giving kids at such a young age the basics of what sex ed is and the building blocks for future classes. Due to this new bill, students could expect to learn sex ed in schools such as Sunnyside, Jefferson Elementary, or Camiac. Now this would affect over 1,000 students, but what do teachers have to say about this? Tiffany Yakabazi is a second grade teacher in Washington, and she says that she thinks students may be too young for this kind of information.
I'm not so sure I'm convinced that's the greatest idea for kids, because there are some kids that are ready for that information, and there are some kids that absolutely are not ready for that. And I know that with the TV programs and the games and the access that kids have to online learning now, I can see where people might feel that it's important for them to get that information at school, but I don't believe that it's appropriate for the younger ages.
Ikobazi says that if she were a mother in this situation and her children were to be taught sex ed, she'd feel uncomfortable, saying that her family is open with those topics. But unless more parents feel strongly that sex ed should be taught at a younger age and vote the bill in, we can continue to expect to see sex ed in later classes. With Murrow News 8, I'm Cameron Limes. A lost painting by famed Black American modernist Jacob Lawrence is back in public display for the first time in decades. The Metropolitan Museum of Art announced on Wednesday that a visitor to the museum realized that it had been in a neighbor's collection for years and encouraged them to contact the museum. According to the museum, the current owners bought the painting at a charity auction in 1960.
Planned Parenthood continued calling for enforcement on anti-abortion protests. Protesters have changed tactics, but Planned Parenthood believes the monthly demonstrations outside its Spokane clinic continue to violate a court order. Spokane police looked on as protesters gathered on the thin green space adjacent to the clinic. Police took the same approach this week and issued 0 citations to anti-abortion activists who shuttle onto the prohibited area. But WSU's recent announcement regarding spring break, how are students feeling about the change? Murrow News 8 reporter Ariel Yakubazi has a story.
I can understand why they did it. I just don't like that they did it. Spring break, a time for fun, travel, and excitement. But spring break 2021 looks a bit different than in previous years. With the COVID-19 pandemic still raging across the world, Washington State University and others are changing things up. This year, students won't be packing their bags and hopping on a plane for an extravagant trip, but instead, they'll be putting away their books. And they'll be hopping on the couch for their next academic break day, which is the new spring break for Washington State University. WSU released a plan to not have a traditional spring break for the spring 2021 semester. Instead, academic break days were set aside by the university. This will give students the opportunity to take a break from class, but not in the way they had hoped. Students like senior Jeffrey Kranz are not happy with the decision made. According to Kranz, he doesn't believe he will use these break days.
I always thought spring break was supposed to be like a break from school, not just like physically, but like mentally too. And so if we only have a day off, say on a Tuesday, I'm not gonna just lay in bed all day. I'm gonna get my homework done. So, I don't know. I feel like it's not a break.
Kranz said he is also worried about the effect this may have on students' mental health.
Even if you don't go anywhere, you still at least maybe go home, and so you get that social interaction with your family again and that kind of stuff.
Phil Weiler, Vice President of Marketing and Communication at WSU, said the faculty and staff acknowledged this.
But at the end of the day, we really need to balance the safety of students and the desire to give them the break where they don't have to be stuck on Zoom or stuck on virtual learning, while at the same time not creating this situation where people might be tempted to want to go travel and potentially either acquire the illness or the virus where they are visiting and bringing it back to Pullman, or what is equally possible is that they could be asymptomatic, they could already be exposed, and they could take the virus with them and infect other people.
In Pullman, Washington, I'm Ariel Yacobazi, Murrow News 8.
COVID alive. Snow is on the way. Find out what you can do to stay healthy and warm when Murrow News 8 returns.
Kylie Gibson has your weather when we return.
Mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Snow has been in the forecast for the last few days, but now it's here. According to Pullman Radio News, we should expect to see up to 10 inches of snow in tonight's or tomorrow morning. Kylie Gibson has our weather report. What should we expect in the upcoming days, Kylie?
Thanks, Cameron. Well, if you're planning on traveling this weekend, pack some warm clothes. It might be the perfect weekend to bundle up and spend the weekend indoors. Today in Pullman, we have a really chilly low of 24 degrees, as well as a chilly high of 32 degrees, with winds up to 9 miles per hour today. We're expecting snow throughout the day with nearly a 100% chance of snow from 4 to 10 p.m. Tomorrow, it's still a cool low of 14 degrees and a high of nearly 34 degrees, but the sun will be peeking through a bit more tomorrow. Heading over to our state map, Spokane's weather is just about the same as us, a high of 32 and a low of 24, expecting snow as well. Over in Tri-Cities, a high of 45 and a low of 33, about the same weather over in Yakima as well. Heading over to the west side of Seattle, looking a whole lot warmer than over here in Pullman with a high of 50 and a low of 41, with rain in the forecast per usual. Olympia about the same as Seattle. Heading over to our 5-day forecast. Well, it's time to get out your winter coats and bundle up. Snow today, sunny tomorrow with a low of 10 and a high of 30. Monday is partly cloudy but still pretty cold. Tuesday, the warmth will spike significantly with a high of 41 and a low of 27. And Wednesday, about the same. Cameron, Humayan, back to you guys.
Two local teams took huge wins on Thursday. Find out who when we return.
And a look into how WSU is adjusting to football season amidst a pandemic. We'll be right back.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Murrow News. With your sports. Coming out of the Moscow Pullman Daily News, Washington State University is still several days away from game planning for Oregon State. But what do specific practices look like during a pandemic? According to head coach Nick Rolovich, everyone gets tested before setting foot on the field first thing in the morning, then on to meetings, then on to weights in school, and then practice finally in the afternoon. Head coach Nick Rolovich had also said some words about the team's progress after a scrimmage on the 17th. Let's take a quick look.
Got a lot to still work on as far as football, but the mentality out there was not a lot of BS as far as fairly clean penalty-wise. I appreciate the refs coming out. A lot you want to see after, go check out the film. But as far as the mentality out there, I think this team likes to play football. And what I mean by nonsense is after the play, chippiness, dialed in on the sidelines. We got a compliment for the refs from just how we were playing. We were just there to play football, and I think that's a positive. But I think we still got a bunch to work on.
More in the world of football, WSU is finally starting their football season after a long delay. Murrow News 8 reporter Derek Strom filed the report.
Martin Stadium will begin hosting football games next month as part of a plan to have a 7-game football season, but students and fans will be relegated to their couches instead of the stands as a precaution to avoid the spread of coronavirus. WSU student Logan Gallinger is excited for the return of Cougar football, whatever shape it comes in.
My overall feeling on it is like, as long as they're smart and, as long as there are protocols in place, which it sounds like they are really trying to stick to, we have technology and stuff for testing beforehand. I'm good with it. I'm more than good with it, and I'm very excited to watch it.
Although WSU won't be allowing fans inside Martin Stadium for games, they will likely have to put procedures in place for walkways like these so that fans don't congregate here for a view of the game. Other conferences have allowed fans to attend games, but Gallinger believes that even though a silent Martin Stadium will take some getting used to, safety should be the main priority.
So much of what the Cougar football experience is going to those games, and the crowd kind of makes the team go, and the team makes the crowd go. And not having students or fans in the stands is, I could imagine, it's going to be weird, obviously. But it's for the it's for the safety, it's for the best.
With or without fans in attendance, WSU's game against Oregon State on November 7th will be the first Cougar athletic event in over 7 months. Derek Strom, Murrow News 8.
Now into the world of volleyball. According to the Moscow Pullman Daily News, the Genesee volleyball team now qualifies for state with a 25-21, 25-20, and 25-22 win against Prairie. Lucy Renasate helped bring the team to victory with a recorded 10 kills, 12 digs, and 6 blocks at Thursday's game. If the Bulldogs, who play at 7 p.m. on Saturday at Troy, can win the contest, a winner-take-all match will follow the 8:30 p.m. match. The 16-3 Bulldogs have fell to Troy in the winner's bracket final on Wednesday, but Genesee coach Pete Crowley said, quote, "Pretty cool that it came down to them. It was definitely a hard-fought match. We had to play really well, and we did," end quote. Also coming out of the Moscow Pullman Daily News, in Lewiston, the Logos cross-country team sweeps the 1A district titles. Logos boys claimed their 3rd district title in a row, while the girls unseated 2-time defending champ Troy. An exciting day in space. We'll tell you more when we come back.
You won't want to miss this when Murrow News 8 returns.
Days, months,
Hey, I'm Jim from across the street.
years,
I'd like to give you this.
a lifetime can rush by without realizing what we're missing. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have a choice to take action. Visit maketheconnection.net to find out more.
NASA has just made history landing the first successful probe on an asteroid. The Orion is a small sample, is taking a small sample back, and it should be back in 3 years. Thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate it. If you miss anything, you can watch all of our old newscasts on our YouTube channel.
Have a good night.